Book marketing and promotion can seem like an overwhelming and daunting task for a lot of authors out there, especially those that are a bit more introverted. In fact, I have that issue myself, and it's a big struggle for me. So I find it very intriguing and very interesting when I run into an author that embraces book marketing and promotion, especially if they tend to be a bit more introverted. And that's what brings Susan Montgomery to the podcast today. She's a fairly prolific author and she specializes in ukulele of all things, but that's not the only thing that she publishes. In fact, we talk a lot about that within this interview. And we also discuss what was the shift that she had in her mindset from I don't want to do book marketing and promotion to I love doing book marketing and promotion. So let's get on into this interview. We're going to find some great insights and tips. Take a few notes because when I went back through to watch this whole interview, I said, wow, this is a lot of great information. This is some stuff that I can actually be able to use. So without any further ado, let's get into the interview with Susan Montgomery. Susan, it's fantastic to have you here on the podcast in official capacity now, because the last time you were on, we were working on a project. What was that project again? I'm forgetting.
It was the color printing for paperbacks.
Oh, yes. We did the big one for where we compared all the different types of standard and premium color paperback books. Man, I think we should go for round 2 on that one, because you have been a machine. You've been very prolific lately, just pumping out one book after the other. What is your secret? Because obviously you're not publishing hammered garbage.
Well, I finally found something that I'm just super passionate about. When I started, I was passionate and I published books one after the other. And I went to other genres quite quickly. And I just didn't, even though I loved each book with a passion, I just wasn't feeling the marketing vibe at all with any of them. Everybody kept telling me what I should do. And I'm like, yeah, I should do that. You're right. But I'm such an introvert. It was really scary to get myself out there with any of my books. And again, people are telling me, oh, you could do this and just call this person. But it was really, really hard for me. And once I started publishing my children's books, I felt like I just really wanted to share it. I was just like, I just want to share my passion. And it was just like kind of like a fire burning inside you. You wrote this book. It's great. You're confident in the story. So I just thought, I'm going to try it. I'm going to start getting myself out there and doing events and finally doing the things that, I've heard I should do. But it wasn't even about what I should do. It was just, I found quite quickly after the first event that I did, when I shared my passion for either self-publishing books or painting or drawing or sketching or building a story, other people shared their passion with me. And that was a really cool thing, whether it was little kids or adults even, they'll say, oh, I want to publish a book someday too, and I just thought that was really neat that no matter what I was talking about, they could relate to me on some level just with the sharing my passion part. So that was really cool right there.
It's so interesting to hear that you went from, it was almost like a switch. You went from, screw this, I'm not doing any book marketing, this is not my thing, to, oh my gosh, that's it, I'm all in. So what do you think was the difference maker in that mindset shift? Because you went from this almost negative end of the spectrum to a very positive end of the spectrum. And I'm sure there's a lot of authors that have the same type of issues. So hopefully you can kind of illuminate what created that shift for you.
I think it was just putting out everything, all the should. You need to do this. And I just thought of very individualized plan for me. What works for me, what works for my schedule, what works for my energy level. I just decided, maybe I won't do all of the social media that I was doing, because I'm not really gaining traction on this platform. It's a little too much for me. And I just thought, I know people said I should do that. I tried it. I'm good. I'm going to leave it. So,
Really?
one less platform was okay with me.
Yep.
And it's just little things like that, just kind of making your own plan. And I thought, I'm gonna try to do an event, my first event. And it was really neat to get out there. It was kind of scary at first, but again, I just felt really confident in what I was putting out there. And I think that was a really big step too, because I just knew I had a good story, and I thought that it would resonate with people and people would enjoy it.
So it's that confidence level that increased for you, and you're like, "That's it. I know this is it. Let's run. Let's do this."
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and it
super cool.
was it was fun, and my first event was actually a craft fair at my church. So it was a very friendly environment, that I felt comfortable in, and I think that was such a good idea to start that way. And not only did I have some of my children's books about the ukulele, but I had some of my paintings too, because I didn't know how it would go selling both. I just had a lot of watercolor paintings on hand. And I quickly found out after that event that, okay, I'm just going to stick to the books, because it was a little too hard to juggle talking about both things, both content areas. Like, oh, I paint, but I also publish books, and here's another genre for you. So I learned after that, okay, let's focus. Let's just do one book at a time. So that's when I started really getting out there and looking, okay, where can I do an actual author event where I read my story and I'm not just selling something, because I just really wanted to get out in my community and meet people. That was a big thing.
What were some other opportunities that you were able to capitalize on after that first church, meetup? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
were some of the other things that got you in front of more people?
Mm-hmm. I reached out to a local coffee shop and used bookstore that I've been going to for 20 years, and they were actually in the process of booking more author events. So they're like, "Oh yeah, we have this date open," and it was rather soon. So I'm like, I can do that. It worked, and I could get my author copies in time to sell there. So I made a really nice flyer for the event, and that was fun. And I'm big on visualization, so I just kept picturing myself ahead of time there. I'm there. I'm reading my story. I have my balloons because I'm reading Zoe's Groovy birthday gift, so it's a birthday party. I thought
Yeah.
about my setting that I wanted to have, and just the feeling that I wanted the kids and the adults to have from the event. They might not have remembered all the details of all the parts of the story or something, but they would have remembered the feel, that it was very fun and vibrant and energetic. So that was really helpful to me, just visualizing that it would go well, because there's a lot of anxiety in me that bubbles up sometimes. Like, what if nobody comes? What if nobody
Oh,
shows
yeah.
up? What if something just goes haywire? Like, I just don't
Yeah.
know. But I have experience as an art teacher, so I've been in the classroom, and I just kind of know how to roll with things. You just have to be on your toes and ready for any question from the kids or the adults. And it helped that I was reading my storybook about a girl who gets a ukulele for her birthday, and I co-founded a local ukulele club. So some of my friends came
Nice.
with me and helped me with the question and answer portion when people were asking about, oh, how big do ukuleles get? So that was really nice to have some people that I knew by my side. It was just like another confidence booster. Like, they were supportive of me in that moment, which was great.
How do big ukuleles get?
They get to the baritone size. So there's like four main sizes. It's like little bitty bear, slightly bigger bear, and then the biggest bear. So
Nice.
they get, like, I don't know, like kind of like that big.
That's this is the first time in podcasting history here with this channel that we've brought up ukuleles and the sizes of them. So it's really kind of cool to see you spreading your wings, building that confidence and such. One of the things I discovered more recently was that you did a podcast interview with a local podcast. Share with me, how did you land that interview? What was the experience like? And have you seen any type of benefit from that visibility?
Yeah, they had just launched it not too long ago, and I had been listening to the podcast. And after I listened to the one with Santa at Christmas time, I just thought, I got to reach out to this podcast and just try to be on there because again, I'm visualizing. I visualized myself having a conversation with this person and the things that we could talk about. And I just thought, I'll send an email, and I always make my emails very personalized, try to make it concise and to the point. And I just reached out and said, these are the things I can talk about. This is what I do. I would love to be on your podcast. Do you have any availability in the next couple? I think I said in the next couple of months, because, sometimes they book really far out. And it just so happened that he had to fill a spot before the end of the year. And so it was like a week later, and I'm like, I can do it.
Nice.
So, yeah. So when we had a really good conversation because he had a music background too. So it was just nice it was just a really good conversation we had.
Nice. And had you seen any type of benefit from that exposure at all?
I got really positive responses from the people who listened to it.
Good.
It's a local podcast, so it's our local newspaper, our local online news,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's growing. So I hope that it's on YouTube now. So I hope that people just keep tuning in and listening. And again, it wasn't even about like selling one book or pitching one book or anything. It was really just about my story of how I became a self-publishing author, how I learned how to play music over the pandemic, and I'm now doing music books and all this creative work from the pandemic and my experience before as somebody who was really creative. So it was just a good conversation.
Nice. And that's always the fun part. I think you and I had, before we connected, I'd shared some interesting experiences with some guests and such. And I know I've had, even as a guest, I've had some interesting experiences. But let's focus a little bit more over on like your overall marketing plan. You obviously are very prolific. You have a lot of books. How many altogether right now?
Well, 12, 11 or 12, not counting my coloring books, because I have a coloring
Yeah.
book line about the ukulele. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's up there. And I'm in the middle of my Strumming Seahorse series. So I'm still illustrating
Nice.
two more books in that series because I not only write, but I illustrate. There's art in all of my books that I've learned to, you know, get right in the book so it shows up well. And I'm very traditional, though. I do most of it in watercolor or acrylic paint.
Yeah.
And
Nothing
then,
digital. It's all physical art,
yeah,
correct?
there might be a couple edits here and there, but it's all pretty much what you see is what you get.
So, with such a deep backlog of books, what is your approach to marketing those books? Like, how do you handle that? And don't be afraid to pull out all stops and share even some of the minutia, because I think there's some people that are probably listening to you go, I'm an introvert. I don't feel like going out. I'd like to have the confidence. Maybe if she just tells me her marketing plan, I could probably attack it the same way she does.
I think it was just a matter of again just thinking like what works for me and just tuning out the all the shoulds and the have tos. And I'm very organized, so I keep really good files. I'm ready to go with images or covers or anything. I think being prepared helps a lot, and just having that organization. I started making one sheets of all my books, so front and back. It has the front, the book, all the information, like the highlights of the book, short clip from a review, and then the back it has a little bio about me, and then more of the book information and the formats and where you can get it, and all my contact information at the bottom. Just a very concise sheet that I can hand out at events or email to people. And that actually came in handy recently when I had kind of pitched myself to a local music studio. And I just wanted to read my story there. And they actually have a week of enrichment classes coming up. So I'm teaching 2 classes in a couple weeks.
What?
Reading,
So
reading
you get
my
to return to
reading.
the teacher role
I
then.
do, yeah. I get to read
Nice.
my strumming seahorse story and do a little ukulele lesson with everybody who doesn't play the ukulele, who's totally new to it. So I think that will be a lot of fun. And again, I reached out to them, and that was actually one of the things that somebody told me to do. Multiple people actually told me to do when I first published music books in 2021. But
Mhm.
my health was not good at the time. I just couldn't get myself out there for a lot of different reasons. So I think a lot of it is just timing too, you
Mhm.
know.
What do you think is the single most effective tool in your marketing strategy?
I think just letting my personality and my passion come through for what I'm doing,
Mhm.
because I think that comes across when I am sending these emails, and just that confidence comes through, but not hopefully not in any kind of an arrogant way, just in a fun, vibrant, let's do this, let's read this story kind of just a fun way. And I think just having that unique personality kind of shine through just works. That authenticity, I should say. um, I think if anybody is worried about getting themselves out there, just let your personality come out. Don't be afraid of your own little nuances. Just be prepared and organized, and give it a try. And I keep learning after every event too. After the first one, I kind of did a author event autopsy, like what worked, what didn't, what did I forget. There were a couple things I totally forgot about. But that's why doing it in such a friendly environment first was easy on the nerves too. So
Yeah. We'd briefly discussed OneNotes for each of your books. Prior to us hitting the record button here on the podcast, we were discussing media kits. Share with me, and the audience, what is a media kit, and how do you put together a media kit yourself?
there's so many different ways that I hear from various people how to do it, but I just keep files ready to go of my book covers. Everything's in 300 DPI so that it prints out good. Um, I have author photos ready to go, and in the one sheets for the books. And I don't have at first, I think with my first book, I was really concerned about doing a press release. I got to do a press release. I gotta,
Yeah.
I gotta send it out to everybody, And I quickly learned nobody cares you wrote a book. Nobody cares you wrote a book. Why did you write a book? What is the why?
Yeah.
And I learned, over the last couple of years that you don't necessarily just need, that's not it. You need a lot more personalization than just sending out a press release saying, "Hey, I wrote a book." Why did you write a book? Why does it matter? Who does it matter for? So I'm learning all those things, and I'm just soaking it all in. And I love the learning process of all this too. So
Now, how are
it's a
you
lot of fun.
creating that media kit then? Is it through any specific type of software?
I use Canva a lot for my
Nice.
graphics. Canva. Oh yeah, yeah. I do that for my one sheets. It's just really easy with the pro account to put together graphics and pages nicely, and it doesn't take up nearly as much resources as Microsoft Word. That kind of bogs down my laptop every time I open it sometimes. So there's that. But I use Canva a lot for my graphics and my one sheets, and the rest is all in Microsoft, just keeping files and descriptions of my books. If I just want a little blurb, very concise blurb about my book, I have it ready to go, just copy paste. So, but I think it's really important to craft every email very individually for who you're sending it to. So,
Very interesting. We're starting to get towards the end of the time here together. And boy, I would really love to chat with you even more about some of your experience. Because, over the past few years, you're going on 3 years of being in the business. It would be awesome to maybe have another future chat and see where you're at as far as that's concerned. But let's go ahead and wrap up today's podcast with a question I ask everybody, which is, what advice do you have for aspiring authors and self-publishers out there?
be you. Just be you. and let your personality shine through your book, your effort that you put into the book, and who you're talking to, because like I said before, it kind of stirs something in other people too when they see that in you.